Hey guys, I wanted to do something a little different today. I feel like I've been struggling somewhat with the format, I would say. The format of what I've been doing. I love doing this podcast that I've been starting up, and I also love making videos. But something feels amiss. So maybe I'll get into it now and then also afterward make either a channeled message or I'm not quite sure how I'm going to set this up. But either way, so what I've been experiencing lately is this sense of, I don't want to call it lack. There's just something that's not there, something's missing. And I think in the last 2 or 3 days, I've been really feeling this sense of yeah, I don't want to call it disconnection either. I'll just explain what I've been feeling. It's this sense that I feel like I'm doing the videos, the podcast, and there's still a part of me that maybe is not online yet. That I get the image of like a dam, and the doors open up to let the water out, but partially the doors are still closed. And with that is it causes a change in the flow. And there's also some turbulence, there's resistance, there's something that's just not complete flow. And I think those doors, if you will, or I see like a creek, a river, there's a bunch of debris in the way that's blocking some of the flow. And some flow is getting through, but it could be optimized. And I feel like some of those blocks, probably more so, are mental and egoic. But it's like there's this sensation, this feeling in my chest, this bright, beautiful energy of creation and excitement and authenticity. And I can feel it, but it's almost like I don't have the tools yet to create with it or to manifest it into this world. And so I'm using the tools that I know, that I understand, that I have. It's like a kid learning how to speak. Maybe there's a different feeling going on inside of the kid, but they only have so many words. They only have so many tools to work with in order to get you to understand that they want this. Maybe they don't know how to say sandwich, but that's what they want. But, they'll just say food for now. Either way, a bunch of analogies just came out there, but it's like this sense that there's something inside of me that wants to be expressed. And maybe I just don't have the tools yet. Maybe I haven't been taught yet. Like maybe there's something in the future that I'm going to connect with so much more than podcasting and video making. But there just feels like there's something yet. And so this morning, as I was sitting around feeling into that, because today I've been batching a lot of my podcasts. And so today would be a day that I need to put one out. And as I sat here, I was just like, yeah, I have like 3 in the vault right now, 3 or 4. And I'm like, I could just batch those out and be okay. But I'm just like, where's the excitement again? Like I feel like the first couple of them that I did, it was just like I was tapped into something. I was channeling something. And that's the word that came through, was channeling. And so I wanted to try something a little bit different today because, like I said, I feel like I have so many innate gifts and I don't know, a painting wants to be made, but I don't have the correct paint set or the right colors yet. Or maybe it's not even paint, maybe it's a completely different modality and I don't know how to do it yet. But either way, with what tools I have, I want to try something a little bit different. So with that, I'm going to take a sip real quick. I laid out a little altar here. I'm going to paint the picture for you here. I laid out a little altar here just to try to tap into something. I've cleared the space. I've cleared my energy. And I lit a candle. I have some dried roses here. For some reason lately, I've been like really resonating with these roses. Anytime I buy them, I dry them and, well, I look at them first and then dry them. I laid out a bunch of crystals here to outline the chakra system, and I grabbed a couple of decks that I feel like were calling me. And it's funny that as I was getting this all together, every morning I shuffle my tarot cards and I pull them for really my own, like what's the day going to look like. And so usually I pull one and then see what's on the bottom of the deck. And it was actually funny because when I went up to go get my other decks, I saw that I had pulled, I usually don't really take notice to it until the end of the day, and then I put all the puzzle pieces together. And today I had pulled the Ace of Wands, and underneath was the Devil. So as I'm grabbing all of my decks, I thought that was pretty apt. This sense of endeavoring and starting something new, going after something new, almost like, I envision like lighting a match. It's this new burn, if you will, but underneath, is still that fear, if you will, that felt sense of that you're still stuck or still attached to something, still chained to something, still feel like you're stuck. But we'll see. I didn't grab that deck, but let's see how things start to shift. I shuffled all of my other like oracle decks. I wanted to see if any of them come into play today, and I grabbed a different tarot deck. And today, for some reason, I felt called to use the Druidcraft. It's kind of funny. The Druidcraft tarot deck. I got this deck actually as a gift. When I lived in California, I think it was my first gifted deck. I had owned like one or two by then because I was playing around with it. And I'd owned one or two. And then as I'm leaving, this one lady who actually taught me to read tarot, and she taught me to read, I'll call it intuitively, but almost like as a story. Instead of learning each definition, if you would, memorizing each card, it's like just kind of reading a story. And it's there was something at that time that still rings true, but I kept getting symbols for druids, almost like that I am one, or that I was one, or maybe both concurrently. But then as I'm leaving, she gifted me this deck, and I haven't got to work with it as much as I maybe wanted to, because I mostly use the Rider-Waite. I don't know, there's something about the traditional artwork that just resonates more, but I do really like the imagery in some other decks, and I feel like I want to start connecting more, with maybe different decks. But either way, I found it funny that when I opened up this deck, and now I haven't touched it in who knows how long, that on the top of the deck was the Five of Wands, and the bottom was the Star. And I just find it funny because the Star card, I feel like, is a resonant card for me, like at all times. And so, I don't know, it's like, it's going to be an interesting new endeavor, this tapping into something greater, tapping into my authentic nature. And maybe this is a message for everybody else too, is like underneath there is this sense of authenticity, this root almost. I got the word raíz, which is the Spanish word for root, and it's like that. It's in there. We all have this vein of authenticity that's maybe untapped, and for the Five of Wands to be showing up on top there, it was just kind of interesting because to me it is. It's like this authentic core with, I don't want to call it a chaotic surface, but in some ways, yeah, it's like the life we live is so chaotic and so disjointed, and although maybe we're learning to come back into, I don't want to call it order, but yeah, some semblance of ease and authenticity, it very much manifests as this life that, I don't know, we're constantly striving for something else, and we're constantly trying to do something, and we're constantly fighting it, is the words that I'm getting. So either way, I'm going to shuffle the tarot cards. I just thought it was interesting that the cards that I've been seeing now since I've been setting this up have been ones that I feel like very much resonate to what we're doing. So either way, let's shuffle and see what we get here. Okay. I got the Three of Cups was the first card that I pulled. And yeah, I don't know. I get this warm feeling of connection, this new, almost like this new endeavor. The picture here shows three, I'm going to go with three men that are all toasting to something. You know, maybe it's a victory one. There's a shield in the background. There's a meal being shared, but it's like this newfound sense of community, this newfound sense of connection. Finding your tribe is the words that I just got. Okay, interesting. I mean, the sense that came through for what I'm doing right now, and take it as it resonates, but it's like, in some ways, it's like we do the same thing over and over and over, hoping for a different result. What do they call that? Is that the definition of insanity? But it's like here, actually maybe doing something new, actually finding your community in doing something, in doing something that feels meaningful, that maybe is a little scary, that is vulnerable, but where you can learn coming back to yourself, where you can come back to yourself. I feel like in some ways we do the things that feel comfortable. It doesn't really bring us, maybe it brings us some sense of joy or some semblance of, the word honor came to me, but it's like deep down inside there's still something missing. And that we're doing it, maybe, I don't want to say for the wrong reasons, but could be for the wrong reasons. It could be to try to fit in. But when you find your actual tribe, when you find the people that you can share these moments with, those are the people that really understand you, really get you. And sometimes it's letting go. It's letting go of the fears. It's venturing out and doing something new. Yeah, my second card that I pulled was the Eight of Cups. And it's leaving behind things that no longer serve you. In this picture, it's very beautiful actually, but this person is walking away from these eight cups that serve as, I don't know, I kind of feel like in some ways what's coming up in me is walking away from something that maybe you have taken this time to build, taken this time to understand, and it's almost like yourself with these cups. You've slowly accumulated these cups over the last whatever amount of time. And now to walk away from it, I think some of us struggle with that because, I'm using these cups as an example, but, it's something that you've built. It's something that you've maybe paid money for. It's something that, it's the life you've known. It's the emotional body that you know, this felt sense of who you are. But in some ways, walking away from that, being able to adventure out into the unknown, leaving behind the things that you've held on to for so long. And it's interesting, right underneath that was the Seven of Cups. And it's like in this picture, I don't know if you guys look at tarot at all. I feel like it's such a shift in this picture from the other one. The one from Rider-Waite, Seven of Cups, it's almost like this frantic energy. You know, a person, it's almost like this person's looking at all of these options, all of these different cups filled with different things. And usually, I can't say usually, but a lot of times I get a felt sense of like chaos or overwhelm or too many choices, which can also be a beautiful thing. Having different choices to pick from, picking what feels more aligned. But this image is of a person that's kind of, I'll call it gazing, scrying almost, looking into a pool of water and seeing 6 cups, and the 7th cup is sitting next to him. And it's almost peaceful. It's almost like daydreaming, manifesting into being. Like this person came to this pool of water and is manifesting these cups into being. And so it's interesting because all 3 of these are cups, and that is interesting. All 3 of these are cups. And I don't know, like I said, looking at them in the order that I got them, that I pulled them, from the 3 of Cups to the 8 of Cups, it's telling a story. It's like this 3 of Cups is, like I said, it's three men that are celebrating right now, celebrating who knows what, just enjoying the day, celebrating with friends. And I feel like that's kind of maybe where we are in life. It's this finding your community and celebrating with those that you love. I feel like in some ways it's enjoying these moments, enjoying the moments right now, being present to it. I feel like the next card with the 8 of Cups is this shift almost. This shift of enjoy this moment because things are changing. Maybe in some ways you're going to be asked to walk away from this life that you know. The life that maybe you felt so comfortable with, this life that you've connected with in so many ways. But then it's leading you to this open space, this space of pure manifestation, this space of bringing whatever you can envision into being. And yeah, I feel like that's kind of what these cards are telling me at this time. I'm going to draw an oracle card because I keep looking at this one deck. Okay, so this oracle deck that I have is called the Dream Weaver's Oracle. I really like it. And it's not a problem. However, if I would call a problem, is that when you look at the card, for example, the one I pulled is number 7. If you hear a Sasquatch sigh, the imagery on it doesn't really lead way to anything. I mean, other than a Sasquatch, it's really interesting artwork. I really like it. I have to still look it up though, because that's the thing, is you don't really know what the card is inferring just based off of the name. But if you hear a Sasquatch sigh, the essential meaning is spiritual narcolepsy, seeing through the lens of separation, competition, arrogance, ego, and narrow-mindedness. If you hear a Sasquatch sigh, know that they are sad because you've fallen into the trap of spiritual narcolepsy. You've forgotten your partnership with the universe and instead are working through your ego. You think you see clearly, but you're temporarily blinded to the magic in the world. Perhaps you're comparing yourself with others, or perhaps you are seeing through the lens of lack and limitation, and therefore thinking there isn't enough or you aren't enough. In this moment, you're being called to wake up and remember the inherent divinity in all things and in all people. Perhaps you can't see the magic and mystery because you've lost faith, you don't believe, or you've become hypnotized by temporary outer conditions that present as rigid or fixed. You may feel an overwhelming weight and responsibility on your shoulders to make things happen. Yes, life can truly be hard, unfair, unreliable, exhausting, irrational, and chaotic, but none of those things are permanent or personal. Remember, all things must change, and you are now and always have been a conduit for miracles. Wake up, reorient yourself, declutter your thoughts and your environment, and be grateful these episodes are fleeting. You do not need to define your sense of self by outer conditions. This is a time to dive into more self-love and compassion. Cultivate a sense of humor, for you are more than enough. You matter, and life loves you so much. Look to the signs around you. The whole world is your oracle. Spirit has a plan. Well, wow. Interesting. Spiritual narcolepsy. I don't know. A few things rang true for me there. I don't know, like this word complacency in some ways. That we've been asleep. We've been asleep to our gifts. I'm trying to pull it back up again. But it's like trying to compare yourself to other people, trying to be, I don't want to say be something you're not, but you are individually and uniquely yourself. And you bring a unique flair to everything that you do. The world needs you and doesn't need some individual that you're copying. They already have one of them. I'd say the message that's coming through me is one of tap into yourself. Tap into who you truly are and what truly lights you up, what feels completely authentic to you. And there's a good chance that it's maybe never been done before. I think one thing that I struggle with right now is, like I explained to you at the beginning of this episode, is this sense that, I have this feeling inside of my chest, and let's call it my authentic energy, and it's looking to be expressed, but it just maybe doesn't have the conduit for it. And maybe that conduit, I think of it almost like an adapter. If you have the newest iPhone and it's USB-C, but all of your chargers are the old iPhone chargers, and you need that little adapter piece. I mean, why did I just explain what an adapter was? Most of you already know what that is. But either way, that's the image that kind of comes into my mind. It's like this sense of maybe that piece hasn't been invented yet. And here you are with this, I was just about to say this cord, but maybe 50% of the population has a cord. No, but here you are, this unique energy, and looking for a way to really express it. And sometimes that's tough. It's like inventing a new language or inventing a new thing in general. It's like you get to find out what that unique expression is. And sometimes sometimes you got to try things that others have already done before, because maybe you're inspired by it. Maybe it feels good in your system, but maybe it's not the exact thing that you're going to be doing. Or maybe you are, but you bring your own flair to it, whatever feels good. And so I think with that, I'm trying to see if any other messages want to come through. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's something to that. Something to finding your unique energy. I don't know. I'm sitting here at the end, and it's like feeling me, there's like an unease inside of me. And I think a lot of it is this discomfort, this fear, and hope that something valuable comes out of this. And I don't know how to explain it. It's like this surge of energy in my solar plexus. And I think honestly what it is just an internal sense, an internal restriction in some ways. Like that I'm uncertain, that there's basically I'm restricting my own flow in some ways because of this vulnerability and this want and need to tap into something greater and have it be resonant. Yesterday I was painting, and I was trying to express whatever I was feeling inside of my chest. But again, there's like this layer, if you will, of pressure, but judgment really is the word that comes to me, is judgment. And it's that's keeping me stuck in this form, if you will. Judgment of whether or not this is resonant, that I read the cards correctly, that what comes through resonates for someone else. And judgment that maybe my painting looks good, or that it makes sense, or that I'm able to convey the feelings. But I think that layer of judgment is what's restricting the flow in the first place. Judgment on what comes through. What does it look like to just allow everything to come through and not have to almost take a split second to filter it? But either way, I think this is something I'm going to feel into this episode and see if I want to post it. And if I don't, then you guys don't even know it exists. So if I do, let me know what you guys think of it. I'm looking for, like I said, I'm looking for my conduit. Maybe I have to create it myself. And that's a little scary because, in some ways, you're learning. You're learning what feels good in your system, what feels like flow in your system, what feels exciting in your system. But either way, thank you guys so much for listening. And I don't know, I'd like to say I'll see you in the next episode, but who knows? Who knows what's going to happen now? All right, guys, I'll talk to you later.